In 1815, Mount Tambora, a dormant volcano in Indonesia, began to awaken. The stage was set for one of history's most powerful eruptions. The once peaceful landscape would soon be transformed by nature's fury, leaving a lasting impact on the world. By 1815, tremors and smoke signaled Tambora's awakening. Fear spread as the once serene mountain turned menacing. Ash darkened the sky, plunging Sumbawa into darkness. Panic and suffocation gripped the islanders. The kingdom of Tambora was obliterated by pyroclastic flows. Its people and culture were buried under volcanic ash. The eruption destroyed crops and poisoned water. Starvation and death followed for the survivors. Acidic rain and disrupted weather patterns worsened the devastation. The ecosystem collapsed, pushing survivors to the brink. Unbeknownst to the survivors of Tambora's fury, the worst was yet to come. The eruption unleashed a vast cloud of sulfur dioxide, altering the planet's climate. This shroud circled the globe, engulfing the planet in a hazy veil. The sun appeared dimmed, its rays filtered through the haze. The skies took on an eerie, milky hue. Sunsets became muted, their brilliance extinguished. The change was subtle at first, a gradual dimming of the light. But as weeks turned into months, the effects became apparent. The normal rhythms of the seasons faltered. The skies held an unsettling, unfamiliar quality. People watched the skies with curiosity and apprehension. Little did they know these changes were harbingers of climatic upheaval. As the volcanic cloud spread across the globe, its effects on Earth's climate became increasingly pronounced. The sulfur dioxide, injected high into the stratosphere, reacted with water vapor to form sulfate aerosols, microscopic particles that reflected sunlight back into space, preventing it from reaching the Earth's surface. This reduction in solar radiation, while seemingly insignificant on a day-to-day basis, had a cumulative effect, leading to a gradual yet relentless cooling of the planet. The global average temperature, which had been relatively stable for centuries, began to drop, at first imperceptibly, then with increasing speed. The summer of 1815, which should have brought warmth and sunshine to the northern hemisphere, proved to be unusually cool and wet. Across Europe and North America, temperatures remained stubbornly below average, casting a pall over the usually vibrant summer months. The effects were most dramatic in the higher latitudes, where the growing season was already short and the margins for agricultural survival were slim. In Switzerland, the Alps, usually a haven for hikers and climbers during the summer months, remained shrouded in snow and ice well into July. The once reliable mountain passes, vital trade routes connecting Italy to the north, became impassable, disrupting commerce and isolating communities. In New England, where farmers took pride in their ability to coax a living from the rocky soil, the summer of 1815 brought an unprecedented series of agricultural disasters. The usual warmth, so essential for the ripening of crops, failed to materialize. Instead, cold rains and unseasonal frosts plagued the region, destroying crops and casting a pall of despair over the farming communities. The year 1816 dawned cold and bleak, the lingering effects of the Tambora eruption casting a long shadow over the northern hemisphere. The winter had been unusually harsh, with prolonged periods of freezing temperatures and heavy snowfall extending well into what should have been the spring months. But as spring turned to summer, it became horrifyingly clear that the worst was yet to come. The weather, instead of moderating, took a turn for the bizarre, defying all expectations and plunging much of the world into a prolonged period of climatic upheaval. The summer of 1816, which would forever be etched in history as the year without a summer, was a time of unprecedented weather extremes. In Europe, where the summer months were usually a time for festivals, harvests, and leisurely days under the sun, 1816 brought an unending cycle of storms, floods, and unseasonable cold. The skies, perpetually shrouded in a thick haze, remained stubbornly grey, the sun a distant memory. Across the European continent, from the British Isles to the Russian steppe, temperatures remained stubbornly below average. Frost was recorded in every month of the year, a phenomenon unheard of in living memory. The usual rhythm of the seasons, the predictable cycle of planting and harvesting, was thrown into disarray. Crops failed on a massive scale, their growth stunted by the lack of sunlight and the constant cold. The once abundant fields of wheat, barley and oats, the staples of life for millions, lay withered and brown, their meager yields insufficient to feed the hungry populations. As the summer of 1816 wore on, the true horror of the situation became appallingly clear. Famine, on a scale unseen in generations, stalked the land. The failure of the harvests, coupled with the disruption of trade routes due to the harsh weather, led to a catastrophic shortage of food, plunging millions into destitution and despair. The price of grain soared, driven up by scarcity and speculation. Bread, once the staple food of the poor, became a luxury few could afford. From the British Isles to the heart of Europe, reports poured in of widespread hunger and suffering. In Ireland, already struggling under the weight of British rule, the potato crop, a vital source of sustenance for millions, failed on a massive scale, leading to widespread starvation and social unrest. In Switzerland, the government resorted to desperate measures, distributing emergency rations of barley bread and encouraging the consumption of unusual foodstuffs such as chestnuts and moss. The famine, exacerbated by outbreaks of typhus and other diseases that thrived in conditions of malnutrition and overcrowding, decimated the population. Desperate families, forced from their homes by hunger and poverty, roamed the countryside in search of food and work. Children, their bellies swollen from hunger, became a common sight in the streets of once prosperous cities. The social fabric, already strained by years of war and economic hardship, began to unravel as desperation and despair fueled crime and unrest. The year without a summer, a direct consequence of the eruption of a distant volcano, had exposed the fragility of human civilization, its dependence on the delicate balance of nature. As famine and despair gripped Europe in the wake of the Tambora eruption, a different kind of storm was brewing on the shores of Lake Geneva. The summer of 1816, that year without a summer, found a group of young, brilliant and unconventional minds seeking refuge in a rented villa named Diodati. Among them were Lord Byron, the celebrated poet known for his brooding romanticism, and his personal physician John William Polidori. Joining them were Percy Bysshe Shelley, a fiery idealist and talented writer, along with his lover Mary Godwin, soon to be known to the world as Mary Shelley. The group, drawn together by their shared intellectual curiosity and a thirst for experiences beyond the conventional, had arrived at the Villa Diodati, seeking respite from the unseasonable cold and relentless rain that plagued Europe. Little did they know that the oppressive atmosphere, a direct consequence of the distant volcanic eruption, would seep into their very souls, fueling their imaginations and inspiring works of art that would capture the darkness and despair of that extraordinary time. Confined indoors by the incessant rain and the leaden skies, the group sought solace in conversation, philosophical debates and the sharing of their literary creations. The villa, perched on the edge of the lake, became a crucible of creativity, its walls echoing with the rhythm of Byron's poetry, the passionate arguments of the Shelleys and the quiet intensity of Polidori's observations. The storm outside, a physical manifestation of the upheaval unleashed by Tambora, seemed to mirror the tempestuous emotions and intellectual ferment brewing within the walls of the villa. Evenings at Villa Diodati were spent by the fireplace, shadows dancing on faces. Lord Byron proposed a ghost story challenge amidst a storm. This pastime birthed enduring Gothic literature, Mary Shelley, just 18, struggled to find a tale. The oppressive atmosphere weighed on her mind. One night, a vivid, terrifying vision came to her. A pale student kneeling beside a grotesque creature. This vision became the seed for Frankenstein. The novel captured the anxieties of the Industrial Revolution. The monster symbolized the dark side of human nature, a reflection of the monstrous potential within humanity. Lord Byron poured his anxieties into a poem titled Darkness, painting a world plunged into perpetual gloom. The poem reflected the unease and existential dread of the time. The volcanic cloud cast a literal and metaphorical darkness over the world. Byron's poem captured this despair with rawness and immediacy. I had a dream which was not all a dream, Byron wrote, blurring nightmare and reality. The works from that summer were reflections of a world grappling with natural disasters. These literary masterpieces remind us of nature's power and human resilience. The eruption of Mount Tambora, a cataclysmic event, served as an unexpected catalyst for change. The year without a summer forced humanity to confront its vulnerability and adapt to a changing world. Scientists began investigating Earth's systems, laying the groundwork for climatology. The eruption highlighted the need for accurate weather forecasting and understanding atmospheric patterns. Scientists began to unravel the relationship between volcanic eruptions, atmospheric chemistry, and climate. The eruption advanced our understanding of nature's balance and planetary forces. Social and economic upheavals spurred innovation and adaptation. Communities diversified food sources, experimented with agriculture, and improved food distribution. The crisis fostered resilience and resourcefulness, leading to long-term agricultural changes. The eruption became a turning point, highlighting nature's power and the need to respect our planet's balance. More than 2 centuries after its eruption, Mount Tambora stands as a reminder of nature's power and the interconnectedness of our world. The volcano, now silent, is a monument to those who perished, their stories woven into local lore. The ruins of the kingdom of Tambora remind us of the impermanence of human endeavors. Tambora's eruption was a turning point in understanding volcanic hazards and their global impacts. Its deposits and atmospheric signature inform our understanding of volcanic processes. Tambora serves as a benchmark event in volcanology. The eruption also inspired art and literature, exploring themes of loss and resilience. The echoes of Tambora remind us to heed the lessons of the past. We are temporary inhabitants of a planet shaped by forces greater than ourselves. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and share to help us bring more content like this to you. Your support helps us more than you know.